When we talk about the potential of James Harden being traded, first of all, and then landing in Los Angeles, how are the Clippers digesting all of that?
So I think the Sixers are the Clippers are in like wait and see mode. They're monitoring the situation just like they are monitoring Damian Lillard. They might not have a legit chance at it, but I think they have more of a chance with James Harden if the Sixers decide to trade him because Harden wants to play there. The thing is, the Clippers are just wondering, do the Sixers want to trade him? And I think if the Clippers want him, it's going to be for a certain package. At least that's what they want. Everything I've been hearing, they want to kind of hold on to Terrence Mann. So if the Sixers want as promising of a package that the Clippers could give them, Terrence Mann would have to be one of those guys that I think they would ask for back. The Clippers view Terrence Mann as a guy that they have plans for, a young kid who they like has developed a prospect, a homegrown prospect. Remember, they are moving into a new building after next season.
Yep.
So they kind of have to start that bridge eventually from Kawhi and Paul, and they want to have at least some young, exciting prospects going into that building. So, I'm not saying they're not going to trade Terrence Mann. If the Sixers say, hey, if you want James Harden, you're going to have to give us Terrence Mann and a whole bunch of people. I think that's a conversation for later. But if they have their way, they want to hold on to Terrence Mann.
Right. You need players to go along with that building that Ballmer's so excited about with the toilets and urinal. Every time we talk about the new building, that is the clip that replays in my head. But getting a little bit back more on track here, Ramona. The 76ers, what is their interest level in striking a deal here with the Los Angeles Clippers?
I think the Sixers have been pretty clear in that they're going to entertain conversations for James Harden because he has asked them to. And Daryl Morey's relationship with James Harden goes back so far, and they've done a lot of things together in this league that he feels like he owes it to him to entertain trade conversations. But he's also made it very clear we're not going to trade James Harden for anything less than a player that they think puts them on the same percentage to win a championship. And in Philly, they have this, what is your percentage to win a championship with the roster that you have? So that's either a player coming back for James that helps them get there or a package that they can then use to get a player like that. And as you know, that's hard to get. And I don't think they're in any hurry to do that when they have interest from the Clippers and a couple other teams, but nothing that's blown them away.
Let's bring Kendrick Perkins and Brian Windhorst into this discussion, because as we were chatting about off camera, one of the things that I think about is, okay, well, if they do bring in James Harden, are they playing him alongside Russell Westbrook? Are they staggering those minutes? Are we going to have a repeat with the Los Angeles Lakers where there's a discussion as to who comes off the bench and egos need to be massaged? Perk, why do you think that adding James Harden could be the answer for the Clippers to get this championship that's been so elusive for them for so many years?
Malika, I don't think, and you know that, and I don't think James Harden is the answer, okay? That's the first thing, right? So we're talking about a Clippers team who we've been having high expectations for over, the last 4 or 5 seasons. They can't stay healthy. And then all of a sudden you bring in Russell Westbrook, who did a tremendous job last postseason for us, doing what he did. Matter of fact, saving his career. You bring in James Harden, and then what? What is he actually going to do? If he's unhappy in Philly right now and he has the ball in his hands, what type of position are you going to put him in when he get with the Clippers? Is he still going to have the ball in his hands? Is he going to have a bigger role? No, absolutely not. The two guys you're going to run your offense through is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go back to what I said before. If James Harden is all about winning, then he stay right where he's at with Joel Embiid, the guy that just led the league in scoring 2 consecutive seasons and just won his MVP, period.
Well, we know that if the Clippers are going to win, it's certainly going to come down to at least one guy, and that is Kawhi Leonard, right? He has 2 years left on his 5-year deal with the Clippers, the final season being a player option. Kawhi became extension eligible actually on July 12th of this summer, so just a couple of weeks ago. Ramona, how are the Clippers approaching an extension for Kawhi, especially after everything he's been through, not being able to stay on the floor and healthy?
Yeah, I mean, they would like to extend both these guys and build around them for as long as they can, but the question is, do they have to do that now? They don't have to do that this offseason even. They can extend it out. He does have a player option beyond that, but I think because of his injury history, because of Paul George's situation, because of how much uncertainty there is in the league around a lot of different player situations, they don't have to do anything right now. And Kawhi, conversely, he needs to look at them and decide, what am I signing up for? As much as he has injury issues and sometimes you want to lock in a long-term deal, he's still Kawhi Leonard. When he is healthy, he is one of the best players in the league. And yes, they are opening a new arena. They're going to want to have a good team there. But what does that roster look like? As Ohm mentioned earlier, they have Terrence Mann, a good young player. Paul George has been injured. He's extension eligible too. So there's what roster is he signing up to join long term? Plus, there is the matter of the new broadcast deal and how much the salary cap goes up.
That's all matter. Brian?
Yeah, Malika, I think one thing will be interesting is if, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard act in concert again, because they did. There are 2 deals that they have both signed with the Clippers. They did the same deals at the exact same time, basically. And Paul George can't do an extension until September 1st. He's got another month to wait. Do they want to match it? And frankly, do the Clippers want to offer them both the same type of contract again, considering the injury history that Kawhi has had? And he's coming off another surgery. So that's an unanswered question right now that could affect going forward. I do think they want to sign these guys. I don't think they want them to get to free agency next year, but I don't think they're handing out 4-year contracts just like candy right now.
The Cavs aren't trading Donovan Mitchell this summer, and I understand why. They are coming off of their first playoff season without LeBron James in a quarter century, their first season, really having real success without LeBron James in a very, very long time. And obviously they're very excited about their group going forward with him and Darius Garland in the backcourt and Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen in the front court. But the Cavs are in a difficult spot because, as we've talked about a bunch on the show, the top of the Eastern Conference is extraordinarily competitive, and they're really in a 2-year window between now, or when they traded for Donovan Mitchell last summer, and next summer when he's got 1 year left on his deal, to get this team to a position where they believe that they can really be competitive for a championship, and Donovan Mitchell could be convinced to sign up long term, because when you look at how much they gave up in that trade, trading several first-round picks, trading Lauri Markkanen, they can't really have a scenario where he potentially walks out the door for nothing in a small market like Cleveland. And that's why, to me, Malika, perhaps the most interesting player in the entire league this season is Evan Mobley. Because if the Cavs are going to be a team that makes the conference finals, that challenges to make the NBA finals, it's good enough to beat teams like Milwaukee, teams like Boston, a team like Miami if they get Damian Lillard, a team like Philly if they can get James Harden back, they're going to need Evan Mobley to become an all-star caliber player, to become a guy that looks like he could be one of the 5 or 10 best players in the league down the road. And he's obviously had a terrific start to his career these first couple of years, but this 3rd year for him, it's not only an important thing for him to take that kind of step forward and be a guy that you'd look at as a guy getting a max extension next summer himself, but it's also the kind of guy that Donovan Mitchell looks at in a year and says, hey, this is a guy that I could sign up to play with for the next several years. So I know a lot of people in Cleveland were not upset at were upset at what I said, which I understand, but I do think the next 12 months for the Cavs are vitally important for their future, and I think a lot of it, despite the focus being on Donovan Mitchell, really rests on Evan Mobley's shoulders.
Right, because when you think back to that series against the Knicks, really it was the bigs that wilted in that series and couldn't get them over the hump in what we all thought was sort of a disappointing end to their season. But Brian, you've covered the Cavs for many, many years. Do you think that Cleveland should keep maybe an open mind on how they should handle Donovan Mitchell moving forward here?
I think even if the Cavs had won the championship last year, Donovan would extend, but I don't think under any circumstances he was ever considering extending this season, and I think the Cavs knew that when they traded for him. I think the pressure point comes a year from now when he's got 1 year left on his contract, whether he'll extend, and the Cavs have a whole nother year to see where their team is at and where Donovan sees that the Cavs are at. And I'll just say this. The Cavs had an incredible year last year. It was the first time in 25 years that they made the playoffs where LeBron was not on the roster.
Absolutely.
Donovan Mitchell is already the second most 40-point games in Cavs history after one season. He had 13 of them, already second to LeBron on their team. He made second-team All-NBA. He had one of the great seasons in Cavs history, maybe the best season in Cavs history for a guy not named LeBron. So he has fulfilled his end of the bargain. Now the Cavs have to build the team. In a vacuum, what Bontemps is saying makes strategic sense. But in the real world that they are in Cleveland, they do probably need to give it this other year. And I think they understood that when they traded for him, that the pressure point was going to happen probably in the summer of 24, not the summer of 23.
So, Perk, if you were Donovan Mitchell here, what do you need to see from the Cavs in order to extend and stay with this team?
Well, I need to see the growth of Evan Mobley, but I need to see Darius Garland take that leap. I look around the league, I look at Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. And I'm looking at those two guys, they could actually be the best backcourt in the NBA. Darius Garland has to take that leap. He has been getting better every single season. He has made an all-star team, but now it's time for him to pick his play up to all NBA play. So if I'm Donovan Mitchell, I'm looking at Darius Garland and saying, can I pair up with this young stud and be one of the best duos in the game today? And that's what I'm looking at if I'm him.
Because as we talked about on this show, right, that 3 spot in the East, it feels like, okay, Milwaukee's still up there. It feels like the Celtics are still up there. I don't want to disrespect the Miami Heat in any way, but it feels like some version of those 3 teams, one could drop out, and that 3 seed, it could certainly be up for grabs, and the Cavaliers want to be in that conversation.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.